Hello, everybody. Welcome to stream. It is a roast today. Hope you guys are getting ready for some grilling. I have my evil grin on today. Welcome in, guys. Hi, Half Piece 88. I did see your art. Miro, hello. Silly Pilly, hello. And Vin, thank you for being our lovely mod. Woohoo! Welcome in, Kelzoon and Sunny and Piggy. It's going to be a fun stream, guys. Yeah, do you like my new look? I like the sharp teeth and my eyes are on fire. And my eyes are really itchy today, so maybe, maybe they are on fire. Thank you if you submitted artwork. Thank you so much for submitting and putting yourself out there because, you know, it really requires some guts, right? To really put your artwork out there to be roasted. So I want to thank all of the participants in advance. It was very hard to choose. So if you didn't get chosen today, it was probably because I am having trouble making fun of you. So it's probably not a bad thing. If we haven't met already, my name is Faye. I am part of Wing Canvas. We are an online school of illustration, helping you turn your passion into income. And lovely to see all of you guys here today. And yeah, hello everyone. Let's get started. I chose 10 people to be roasted. And if I don't get to you, I will be able to give you some feedback on the Discord. And if you're not on our Discord, you can join our Art Nerd community, and you'll be able to be the first to know when we have submission streams, and you can get live critique on our channel. All right, guys, and so I wanted to start off this stream by reminding you guys to submit your artwork for the monthly challenge. This month's challenge was really difficult. It was called the Comic Panel Power Up, and a lot of our students love telling stories, and there's so much to learn when you create a comic. And there is a very special person I do want to recognize today for the monthly challenge. And their name is Boa. And Boa, I read your submission. And you said you did this in your art journal, showing your contradicting fears and thoughts regarding the decision to share my art on social media. So just for self-healing and fun, didn't take much time drawing this, but it's low pressure art for me. So I just want to say, you know what? It's very brave for anybody to be able to share their artwork on social media, because when we share our artwork, we are putting it out there for people to judge. And just so you guys know, like the judging thing, okay? You have to be comfortable with having your artwork judged to grow, right? And like it doesn't mean that you have to like take it personally or even take it seriously. It depends on who's judging you, right? Some random person judging you, who cares? But if a professional or somebody you really admire is giving you feedback, or even it could be even like your 6-year-old brother telling you like, why are your ears so big in that picture, right? There's always something to learn. So good for you for sharing your artwork and, you know, taking that chance. Even here you say, you know, maybe a lot of good can come from sharing my artwork. I can't let my fears hold me back too much. And if I do nothing more, if I do nothing, none of my dreams will come true. So I'm only getting older. There's no pause in life. I'm going to give it a try. And you got your little angel saying, do it. And the little devil saying, just be careful. Be careful in that you can choose how you react, right? We always have a choice when it comes to how we react. So again, thank you for submitting. I think this relates to a lot of people. I think a lot of people feel this way, but yeah, it's hard. It's, you know, it is hard to to get your artwork roasted publicly. So let's put our big girl pants on, big boy pants on, and we will get started. All right. Okay, so our first roast victim is Mr. Green Trex. Mr. Green Trex, let's see what you had to say. You said, I don't think I can understand how arms work. For the life of me, I think I can't do proper anatomy when it comes to arms. Anatomy is hard. It is hard. And you know what? Let's talk a little bit about arm anatomy. So first of all, your character's kind of cool looking. It's pretty cool looking, but he's really stiff. He looks like he can't move. And he looks like the stuff around his arms are hurting and swelling. And there's like weird things growing from it. So let's talk about how we can first fix his stiffness. So he's like super stiff looking, and these parts of the sleeves, he looks like he's like a half mummy, you know, kind of like wrapped up and unable to move his arms. The thickness of his arms right now looks about the thickness of his legs. So like the arms are leg-like. Like they're just, you know, there are some animals in the animal kingdom who have arms that are larger than their leg, like gorillas. So when you make the arm too thick and too large, he starts looking like a gorilla, right? And I'm sure that's not your intention. So let's talk about how we can fix this. And those of you guys who are joining, this is Mr. Green Trex. Mr. Green Trex. Okay. So you're having trouble with arms. Okay. And then what else? Like the pants look pretty good, actually. I think the style of the pants, the shoes look pretty cool, right? Very cool. It's just the proportions. So when you're drawing a body, so first of all, let's kind of talk about proportions. First of all, you know, if you have somebody just kind of like standing straight up and down, right? They're very stiff. They're very stiff, and you don't really want to just like draw a gesture going straight up and down. Like it doesn't make sense. It looks like you didn't draw a gesture at all. It looks like you started with the head, and then you just kind of, you know, like you drew in the body, and then you drew in the pants without really thinking about the hips, and then you drew in the you know, and then you drew in the arms, and then you were like, why does this look so weird? So to prevent stiffness, right, what you want to do, and you know what, you can start with the head if you want to, but typically it's easier if you start with your good old S curve. Right, so let's start off with a good old S curve like this, right? I tend to end the S curve in the weight bearing leg, and it looks like the leg facing the front right now is can be the weight bearing leg, and I'm just gonna give his shoulders a little bit of action, and then his hips in the opposing action. And then usually when you're standing straight, like one leg is slightly bent, and then the other leg is straighter. Right? Try to stand straight with both of your legs locked and then one leg facing the other way. It's so awkward. It's so uncomfortable. Right? Then says the arms almost remind me of the disease in Princess Mononoke. Yeah. I want to see what that looks like. I've seen the movie. I can't quite remember. It's Do they look like, oh, is it like the demon? Or is it the, is it this thing? Maybe you can let me know. But, I'm trying to find it and I'm getting all distracted. Okay. So the arms, like, the way that you drew the arms right now, first of all, they're a little bit too low. Arms go about mid-thigh, right? So they go about there, including the hands. So when you sketch this out, like the arms right now are looking really heavy. So you want to kind of figure out what the arms are doing, right? And then the arms will usually follow the positioning of the shoulders. So here, you know, when you have more of an opposing lines in the pelvis and in the shoulder, it looks a bit more natural, right? Like, sure, you can have a pose that's kind of just like standing straight up and down like this, right? But usually it's like almost like a sumo pose where somebody's kind of like half squatted, right? Half squatting like this. And then usually their head is more forward because they're bending backwards, right? So however you want to pose the person, just pose them with a little bit more action. So I'm going to go with the one on the left, but you can kind of see that the shoulders are all on the same line, and then the arms are going too low, and then the arms are like half the width of the torso. So I'm assuming this is a male. So let's say the male torso is kind of like this. You know, the pelvis is a little smaller. Let's say the legs are like this, right? You want to draw the body before you start drawing all the armor and stuff. So let's say you do want to stylize the body and you want to make the arms thicker, like that's fine. But they still have to be thinner than the legs. Like unless they're wearing some kind of ridiculous armor, they still have to follow the anatomy, right? So draw in what you want your arms to look like, right? Make sure that the arms are like smaller than the legs, okay? Because like look at the distance, like look at this cylinder for the arm, right? And then the cylinder for the leg, if we're comparing like the top of the leg and the top of the forearm with the shoulder, like you can see that there's a dramatic difference in size, right? And so the other thing is like when you're drawing the wrap around the arms, you have to know which direction the arms are going in, like which direction the cylinder's going in. Because if the cylinder is going like this way, right, then the wrap has to kind of follow that, and it kind of has to go and be in the same perspective. Whereas if the arm is coming out this way and it's like coming out towards you, right, then it's got to wrap a little bit more going in the opposite direction. So it just seems like there's really not a lot of a structure in the arms. Like one way you can figure out alignment is you can draw a line directly across. So say this is the forearm, right? You want to make sure the forearm is the same distance. You want to make sure that the pinch here, right, is the same on either side. So there's a pinch, and then it's okay to make the forearm start out a little bit wider, but it has to be consistent on both sides. And if I had to take a guess, I would guess that you drew the arms separately instead of together. Because if you drew them together, then you would probably make them a little bit more consistent. Okay, so yeah, the arms are a little bit too thick. Overall, I like your character. I just think he's kind of stiff, and the arms are kind of exasperated by the stiffness. It just makes him look like he's being held hostage instead of him being more of a threat. So if you're ever trying to draw a villain, right, it might be better to kind of draw them in a more active pose, in a more threatening pose, rather than just kind of standing still. Our submissions are closed. If you want to sign up for the next one, we do Fix It and Roast It. We do Roast It streams maybe for once a quarter, like once every few months. But we have Fix It streams once a month. So join our Discord, guys. If you join our Discord, you'll be able to see whenever we are live. Our Discord community finds out first. You guys are the first to know. Okay. So I'm not going to go into arm anatomy because I have another example where I will go into it. I don't think anatomy matters as much as proportions. And right now you're just really struggling with proportions and you're struggling with stiffness. So I would fix your stiffness first by drawing gestures. We have a new video. Our latest video on the channel is with gesture. And then the proportions are, it really doesn't matter how intricate your muscles are, how accurate your anatomy is. If your proportions are wrong, it's still going to look bad. So fix your proportions first. We also have lots of videos on our channel. Just remember that arms go about mid-thigh, right? And remember that the arms are thinner than the legs. And you should be all set. And just remember that S curve, right? Especially for poses standing straight. That way it doesn't look awkward or a little bit too stuffy. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Green Trex. Thank you for putting yourself out there, and good luck with this piece. I'd love to see an update on the Discord once you have it. All right, who is next? Vio. Okay. I chose your piece. Okay, Violet. First of all, everybody who submitted artwork for this round, you all made your Google Drive access accessible to me. I didn't have to request access from anybody, and that's like a revelation. Yay! I'm so happy. In the beginning, like half of you guys had folders that I couldn't even access, so you were immediately disqualified. So that's an improvement. Good job, everyone. But guys, you guys are lucky this is a roast stream because I'm roasting you for just the way you submitted this artwork. Like, first of all, it's blurry, and second of all, it's like crooked. Like, half of it, you know, like the corner is cut off. It's like, what is this? Take a better picture. Take your sketchbook outside. Take a picture under natural sunlight. And if you're gonna, you know, submit a picture that's like horizontal or distorted, fix it first, please. Just make it easier for somebody who's looking at your artwork to actually judge it properly, instead of just thinking that you're lazy and you didn't format it properly. So yeah, don't do this. If you are, especially if you're submitting this for like a portfolio, right? That's bad. Like, dude, you gotta learn how to take better pictures. Because now what I have to do is like distort this, and I don't like fixing your artwork before I can even use it. So do you guys know how to distort stuff? Do you guys know how to like fix the artwork so that it's not distorted? It's way easier to do it on your phone than it is to have me do it digitally. But you basically would like take the corners and fix it. So I'm actually not going to try to edit the quality because you need to learn how to do that before you submit stuff in the future. But you can do this by just selecting the edges and then distorting it, right? But first of all, let's see what you said here. You said, let's see. You said you can't make the fingers or the arms right. How can I fix this? What is wrong with this? Okay, so back to arms again. Seems like a reoccurring topic. So I sourced a reference. This is actually from one of our videos. Whoops. This reference here shows you the proportions of anime proportions versus realistic proportions. And you can actually see they're pretty similar. It's just that the anime proportions, the head size is a little bit bigger, right? The shoulders are smaller by comparison, right? So if the head size is like, if an average head is like, you take this ball and then you bring it down here and it's like this, right? An anime head has more childish proportions. So it's more like probably like taking 1/4 of the length of this circle and bringing it down here and then making the head very round, right? Almost like childlike, right? That's what gives the anime girls the appeal. So I think you did fine with the head and you did fine with the neck, but like the shoulders, there's an issue with the shoulders here. So first of all, the shoulders are so square. Like if you have shoulders that are like this, let me just zoom out so we can see your shoulders. You basically gave her shoulders that are like a box shape. You drew her torso and her torso's okay, right? And then you drew her like her little mini skirt. But then you made her arms like so small. They look like Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, just like teeny tiny little nonsensical arms like this, right? So they look really weird. And again, it's a proportions issue. It's proportions. Most people think, oh, it's the shading, oh, it's this, it's that, but like 90% of the time it's proportions. And the arm, like if you literally have to, first of all, find a reference, okay? Just find a reference. Don't be shy to find a reference. You can you do that on a phone? Yes, you can absolutely fix your edges on a phone. It depends on what kind of phone you have. I use Google Photos for it because I have an Android. I'm sure Apple has a way of correcting it, but like just take a picture of it front on. Like don't be fancy and take it on the side with bad lighting. Like, because I'm roasting you for the quality of the picture more so than your drawing. Because yeah, if you submitted this to me to look at for like a portfolio or for a job, you would get automatically disqualified. Like I wouldn't even look at it. I would just think that you aren't able to deliver good quality artwork because you can't even take a proper photo. So yeah, don't do that. Because this is a roast, I'm gonna tell you that like that is something you should not do. In terms of the ears, like really just fix the T-Rex arms, okay? Just like if you can fix the T-Rex arms, her face is already going to be so much better. So it looks comical, right? When I try to draw it like that. First of all, girls, unless they're wearing shoulder pads, right? Like, you know, in the 80s when those crazy shoulder pads and the big hair were a thing. They might come back one day. But it looks like she's wearing shoulder pads. And so she doesn't really look like a child. She looks very strange. So the childlike proportions you want to be able to play up, right? So let's draw in her rib cage here. Let's talk about how heads connect to the rib cage and to the shoulders. So if you have a head like this and then a rib cage, right? And then you have the hips. So let's make the hips about the same size as the rib cage for female bodies, right? Then you want to put the arms on. Again, I would say you want to try to give her a little bit of a tilt in her shoulders. Maybe her shoulders are coming up because she's excited. Put in the circles for the shoulders. And actually measure how thick an arm is, okay, compared to the torso. So this is how you do it. You just like draw a line Here. You draw a line here, right? And then you just go, okay, that's the width. Now I'm gonna count how many I can actually fit in her torso. And the widest part of her torso, 3 arms, okay? 3 arms at the widest point of her arm compared to the widest point of her torso is 3. You can do the same thing with the wrist if that helps you. Like there's the thinnest part of the wrist compared to the thinnest part of the torso. So there's that. And then you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you can fit in 5, and here you can fit in 3. Okay, always compare the widest to the widest and then the thinnest to the thinnest. Don't compare the widest to the thinnest. It doesn't really make sense. Okay, so you just have to do some measuring. Like if I measured out your character, right, and I looked at the thickest part of the arm, which is like here, right? And then I measured it out to the thickest part of the torso. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably like 6 times. That's why it looks so funny, right? The arm has to be 2 times as thick. Like the arms, right, should be about 1/3 at the widest part, right? So, and then like also her neck is off. Like if her torso is here and her neck is here, it's not actually aligned in the middle. So you need to move it, right? Sometimes it's like drawing is just, it's not math, guys. I'm not trying to scare you. It's not math. It's just measuring, and having a good sense of proportions comes when you actually measure stuff. Okay, so we're going to do 5 and we're going to do 3. So the arm should actually be like this thick, right, at the top. And then here we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how you would fix it. Okay. All right. So after we measure, now we can start to draw in the cylinder of the arms. Again, don't complicate arms, just draw them as cylinders. And you want to think about, are they going back into space or are they going forward? So here they're going back and here they're going forward. Right? And then the hands. The hands are actually kind of cute. I like the way you drew the hands. They're different though. Like this hand is bigger than this hand, so you need to fix the size of the hands. But otherwise, like the hands look kind of cute. They do look anime-like instead of T-Rex-like. So, first one looked like a gorilla. The second girl looked like a dinosaur. What else do we have here? The other thing is, like, girls have shoulders. Not just girls, but like, you know, when you're drawing a person that's kind of non-threatening, or a person that is, you know, has less testosterone, right? The shoulders tend to not be like this, right? Unless they're wearing shoulder pads. So a good way to draw the shoulders, if they are pinched up, is you can kind of connect the trapezius to the back here, and then from the back of the neck, right? So the trapezius is a big muscle that's like shaped like a kite, and so this is actually on the back, but it helps connect the neck to the shoulders. And then this dip here in the shoulders from this muscle onto the deltoid, like right in between this part. So this is called the trapezius, or traps for short. And then this part, this is called the acromion process. Okay, so that currently you can't see it at all in your shoulder, so it looks really strange. So even if you're wearing a frilly dress or something like that, you still need to draw those landmarks. Otherwise, it just looks really weird and stiff. Okay, so if you're drawing like a frilly sleeve or something like that, right? Like, let me just draw it on top of yours. So the shoulders would come down like this. The top of the shoulder would be there. The arm would kind of come down to here, right? And then the hand would be here. Same thing with here. And even here, like her shoulders look way too wide for this kind of cutesy girl, right? If we want to keep her hand here, then you would need to add her arm down here. Okay. So that would be the size you would need it to look human. Yeah, so measure, guys. All you need to do is measure. It's really actually pretty easy to do. We just forget to do it, right? Just measure. Is the artist in chat here? Just wondering if Violet, you actually were able to make it, but thanks for putting yourself out there. And yeah, some applause for Violet. Thank you for submitting your not so good photo. Hopefully it's gonna look better next time. Okay. So who's next? Who's next? This is Loot Gremlin. So Loot Gremlin, you submitted a bug Sona. And just so you guys know, I got a ton of animals in this anatomy stream, and I was not prepared to critique animals. This is supposed to be more of a human anatomy stream, and a human anatomy roast, but this is like close enough. It's got the only bug-like features I really see are the eyes and the antenna, but a very cute OC. So thank you for submitting. Let's see what you said, Luke Gremlin. Where are you? Where are you? You told me to roast you hard. You said you're trying to find your style lately. I've had the want to draw, but I don't know what to draw. But I just don't know what to draw. So if you can turn my anatomy to ash and burn how I draw hands and heads, I need help with face anatomy. Because I love drawing big eyes too much to give it up entirely. Big eyes or bug eyes? So first of all, I really like your character. I think your character is kind of cute. But I think it's way too complex right now. And complexity always gets the best of us. So, we think that complexity equals advanced, but it does not equal better. Simplicity is superior, always superior than complexity. And I'm not saying that like having a complex character is bad. I'm just saying that you know, complexity should happen more towards the end if it's necessary and not right at the beginning. Because if you're a character design, or if you want to do character design and you're a character designer, the best thing you can actually do is think about silhouettes. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do to just kind of show you how you should judge a character on your own. And I'm just going to lasso your character and essentially just like show it to you as a silhouette. I'm just doing this very roughly, so there we go. Okay. And then you have like a couple of antennae here. Right. And then there. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is actually just color in your entire creature here, just to kind of show you the silhouette. Okay. It's a little bit off, but it'll do for now. So when you look at the silhouette, right? Like, would you recognize this character? If, like, is it original enough to be recognized, right? Like, you want to ask yourself, how strong is the silhouette of this character? Because can I tell that it's a bug? Like, maybe with the antenna, I can tell that it's a bug. Can I tell the gender, the personality of the creature? You know, can I tell the pose of the character? All of these things actually matter, because if you look at the best character designs, they are all pretty unique, right? They all can be easily identified. So the first thing that I would do is actually just check out what your character looks like as a silhouette, right? That's probably the best thing you could do, especially if you have different versions, right? If you have different versions of your bug character, and you can see right away, even if I turn it off, right? Which silhouette is stronger, the one on the left or the one on the right? Which one is stronger? Let's ask the chat. Human anatomy absolutely applies to bug anatomy. A lot of our students want to draw hybrid creatures or anthropomorphic creatures, and in order to do that, you need to reference both human anatomy and bug anatomy, right? So yeah, okay, so Half Piece 88 says the left one is stronger. Which one is the most which one is the most recognizable character? Which silhouette is better, the left or the right? The left is easier to tell, but the right is more recognizable. Okay. D-Sis F says, yeah, I'd say left. Half Piece says left. So, yeah, I would agree. I think the character on the left, you know what the pose is, right? The pose is more clear. So we can make some notes here. We're going to say that the character on the left, the pose is more clear. The maybe like the species is not clear. It looks more like a human, right? Whereas on the right, maybe it's a little bit more original, but the pose is not clear, right? And so I would say that if you could just give some breaks to the one on the right, like for example, if you could, I'm just going to erase some of this. So let's say if you could just like make the sleeve a little bit more interesting, right? Like a little bit more clear, that could make a big difference, right? Just even with like the sleeve and simplifying the shirt maybe, right? Working with the silhouette can really help give you an edge without feeling overwhelming, right? Because like when you're working with a drawing, it already feels very overwhelming. Like you've got so much to do and so many parts to figure out, right? That it can feel just like you don't really know where to start, and it can be overwhelming. So just work as a silhouette. Character designers often just work as a silhouette in an effort to simplify things. So let's say we make the antenna. First of all, the antenna are not the same length. This one is a lot shorter, right? So make them the same length. Bugs usually have like a little, they might have antennas that are just like pointy, like this, right? And they have like little pattern on them. Sometimes if you want to be really cute, you could have like the antenna have like a little bulb on it, like a little sensor type of thing, right? That can make the silhouette a little bit more unique. So you can play around with what you want to add to it, for example, right? And then does that look bug-like enough? I'm not sure. I think maybe if you wanted to make it look more bug-like, you can add maybe like another arm or so, right? Like bugs usually have a few They usually have 6 legs, right? That's what makes a bug a bug. And their legs are usually pretty thin, right? So you can kind of like make the legs a little thinner. You can make them a little bit more bug-like, perhaps. But I would just like work with the silhouette until you find a silhouette that you feel represents your character well, right? Like you could even add little like, you know, bug-like little details on it if you want. If you don't think that's like complicated, right? But these little details make it feel more bug-like. Even like the fingers are kind of boxy, which is fine. But how can you make them feel more bug-like? Maybe you can make them a little pointier, right? So yeah, I love these suggestions from the chat. Okay. Artists in chat. Nice. All right. So yeah, you can add little antennas if you want. I mean, this is really just me knowing nothing about your character and giving you some suggestions as to what I would do or what I would think about. So I don't know how final your character is, right? If you just want to give it little antenna, then do that. But like find references for all the stuff that you want to do, right? Don't just like guess. I've drawn lots of bug characters. So I did like a spider, lady arachnid, and I did like a cockroach character live on stream. And so, you know, you want to think about what makes your character look more unique as a silhouette. So silhouette is what I would work on first instead of adding all of the complexity. Right? Just focus on the silhouette. Okay? So yeah, that's how I would probably work on this character until you have a silhouette that you really like, right? Then you can go in and then figure out the anatomy. So in terms of your question about the eyes, they aren't supposed to be super bug-like. If anything, they are kind of a hybrid of sorts. That's fine. You can make your character whatever you want. Don't take this example literally. This is just like how I like to think about things and how I like to simplify stuff. If you want, so now let's talk about the face. So let me know, since you're here in the chat, which bug you are actually modeling this character from. Like what when you say it's a bug, like be specific. There's lots of bugs. There's beetles, there's grasshoppers, you know, there's so many different types of insects that the more specific you can get, the better. You know, because otherwise, and like people who don't know how to find references, you need to find a bunch of references, right? Like, so I don't know what you really based it off of, but I'm gonna assume like a fly, and just because of the size of the head, right? So do you want the head to feel more human-like, or do you want it to feel more bug-like? Because if it's just a, let's see. If it's just like a bug head, right? Let's say you want to draw a bug, and I'm going to just use a house fly, right? Oh, they're like a moth. Okay. Moth face. I'm not going to pretend I know what a moth face looks like because I haven't really looked at it up close, and there's like thousands of moths. Okay, so be more specific. What type of moth? What specific type of moth is it? Because they're all different. For example, this little guy is a polyphemus moth. Let me just show you. He's really cute. He's cute, right? Look at the detail on the antenna. Like, how cool are those details, right? Imagine how cool your silhouette would look if it had these kind of details on them. So knowing the species of your moth is actually really important because it helps you make better decisions about what you want to include. So for example, if you wanted to try out some antenna designs, right? That could look kind of cool. And it is just like, oh, I saw that in a reference and I would never have known had I not looked at the reference. Now your silhouette design looks super cool, right? Because you added a detail that you would have never known had you not played around with it first, right? Had you not done your research first. So again, this is just like me having fun with your design and trying some different things. So if you had this antenna, you probably don't even need the extra legs, right? Because there's enough detail there to understand that it's a moth. In terms of the face of the moth, like you can keep your round head. Your round head is fine. You can draw your antenna however you want. It doesn't matter. Just because I drew it one way doesn't mean you have to draw it that way. I'm just giving you an example. So the eyes, the problem with just drawing the eyes as like round circles is there's really it doesn't really have that human aspect, and like we don't really connect with bugs as much as we connect with humans. So if you want to make the eyes feel more human, then you can actually think about where are the corners. Think about the corners of the eye. So it can still be round like this, right? It can still be round, but you have like the top of the eye, which usually is a little bit darker, right? And then you have the corner of the eye, which feels a little bit more realistic, like anatomy-wise, because this is how human eyes are. We've got the corner of the eye, and then we have the edge of the eye, right? Like this. So if you wanted to humanize it, you can. And then if you wanted to make it more bug-like, you can kind of draw like a grid on it that follows the actual form of the eye, like that. And then you'll know how to shade it properly. So anything, let's see. Yeah, more human. If anything, more a rosy maple moth. Rosy maple moth. And like how human? Like 50-50? Or more moth-like? Oh, this is a beautiful moth. Yeah, Spider-Man is a good example. Okay, so let's see. This is the moth that you were talking about. So okay, so this moth is super fluffy. And if you wanted your Sona to be inspired by this moth, then your character definitely needs like some kind of, fuzzy, like some kind of fuzzy scarf, at least, right? And like, does your character have wings, maybe? Like, I think it just needs a lot more thought. It looks like you started with a human shape. Like, I mean, I really like the hair design. I think the hair looks pretty cool. But it doesn't look bug-like enough to me. Yeah. If you want it to look more like a human face, then reference a human face, right? Reference a human face. If you're feeling extra brave, so this is what my art director friend told me, because she's kind of playing around with different tools that can help you with references. I don't know how comfortable you are using like AI tools to help you come up with some different like hybrid versions. Like if you have no idea where to start, you can prompt, you can prompt AI to come up with some, like a blend between a moth and a human face, and then like, take it or leave it or change it or add different prompts to it and see. Like, you have to really art direct to see what you can get. If you're not comfortable with it, then what you need to do is you need to really study references, right? I would say do the second, because if you do the first, right, although it's fine, and I think that experimenting with tools are fine as long as you don't rely on them in the future. So if you're going to rely on it, then I would say it's better to actually just find references on your own so that you know how to find the proper reference and how to actually work with it, right? You don't want to build reliance on anything. Like whether you're using 3D tools, right? There's nothing wrong with using 3D tools, but you also don't want to rely on it. So just kind of think about the pros and cons, but it can be really helpful to help you generate ideas. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Luke Gremlin, for submitting your OC. It was the only bug character that I included that's like non-human. So have fun with your OC, and hopefully this was helpful. Okay. So, who's next? Who is next? Silver Moon. Silver Moon. Let me know if you are here in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. The AI method isn't good. The second method will make you a better character designer. 100%. I'm just saying, as a beginner, if you have trouble finding reference, you can get creative, but don't rely on the references. It's always better to get your fundamentals. Don't know how to draw heads? Learn how to draw human heads, right? Don't know how to draw moths? Do some moth studies and then try to put them together, right? In the beginning, I think it's fine to use whatever you need to use. Some people trace and they're like super embarrassed about it. And I'm like, whatever, like trace. If you need to trace, trace. Don't feel bad about it. Just use it for learning, okay? You don't need to take it like super seriously. Either way, you're learning, right? If you're tracing, I would say don't trace the outline, trace the gesture, right? Trace the forms. Actually learn something from tracing instead of just like tracing to recreate. Okay, so same thing with AI tools. Use them to generate references that you can't find, but don't copy them exactly, right? Like that's not how you learn, that's not how you grow. But like, don't be afraid to use it because other people will judge you. People are going to judge you anyway. Doesn't matter what you do. If you use the tools, if you don't use the tools, you're going to get judged anyway. Okay, so just do what you need to do and stay creative, my friends. Okay, Silver Moon. Silver Moon. You didn't actually say anything or make any comments about this, but it needs work. It needs some help. Again, you're getting a little bit too fancy with this pose. I can't tell if it's a cat or if it's a fairy or if it's a fox fairy. I can't really tell. Are you in the chat? You're getting judged based on your line work? Yeah, okay, so let me know, Silver Moon, if you are here. So first of all, I like that. I like the pose. I like your attempt at the pose. I think it's a pretty good attempt. But there's just a lot of stuff that's wrong with it. So where do I start? First of all, let's start with the wings, shall we? So right now it looks like these wings are those like sparkly wings that you buy at the Halloween store for kids, like those like sparkly fairy wings for kids that you wear like a backpack. Right now her wings are connected to like the bottom of her neck, which is really weird. It's a really weird placement. And then they're also not the same size, right? Like if you look at this wing on the right, it's like a completely different size than the wing on the left. And it looks like you just wanted to fit it into that circle and you had a hard time, right? So don't do that. It's actually nicer to see some things actually, like if the circle was here, for example, it's nice to see some of that overlap. It actually gives it some depth, right? And so, first of all, real wings would connect probably lower, right? Almost like, think about like the shoulder blades as where the wings would connect. Okay. Otherwise it just looks like dollar store sparkly wings, for kids. And that is, I'm sure, not the vibe that you want. The face is really weird because like there's no ear here. The ears are up here. But it just looks so weird when you have like a human face and no ear. So first of all, if you're drawing a fox, which I assume you are, you need to find references. Okay? References. There's 3 words that I always say in these streams, and it's proportions, gesture, and references. So let's look at a fox face, shall we? Let's look at how foxes, what their faces are structured like, so that we actually, I can actually help you draw a hybrid version that doesn't look scary. Okay, so we're gonna look at, I'm just gonna grab a fox. Okay. Hi JJ fan, welcome in if it's your first time here. I'm usually not this mean, but it's all in good fun. Okay, so here's a fox. All right, now let's find a girl. She looks like she's smiling, I think. But let's find a face. If you're a beginner, you really need to do this because it's going to be very difficult if you don't know how to draw faces and you're trying to draw more complex characters. Okay, so I can draw faces out of my head, but one of you guys asked for references, so I'm just going to show you how I find references. I just went on the internet and tried to find 2 faces that I can combine. Okay, the girl's face is like at a similar angle to the face that you're drawing. So first of all, when you draw like a fox, let me go a little bit lower. If you're drawing a fox, foxes typically have kind of like a lemon shape face, similar to cats. And then if you draw the center line here and you want to draw like a snout on your character, right? You just kind of draw in, think about it as a cup, like a cup that is like this, right? And it's on the snout. And then the eyes on foxes and other animals tend to be more triangular. So they tend to be more like this. Right? Versus human eyes tend to be more like this. Okay? So you can see the shape difference. If you want to be more human-like, which I assume you want to be, and you want to make it look like a fox, you can't put the ears right on the top of the head like this. Okay? If you look at the ears, right, you can kind of see that it sort of aligns with the eyes, right? So they're more kind of off to the side here. And then on this side, kind of more off to the side, right? If you want it to be more human, then you can actually connect the ears. So you can do the same thing with her face. Let's zoom in on her face. You can do the same thing with her face where you, I'm going to fix your nose here because your nose looks fairly strange. If you want it to be more human, like connected to the edge of the eyes like this, right? Get rid of the, like, this business here. This is just so weird looking. Just get rid of that. That looks much better. And then like put the ears more like this, and you can even actually connect it to where her ear would actually be, right? That would look a lot more natural. And then this ear, right, you would see more of the side of, because the face is 3/4 view, but the ears are straight on, which is really weird, right? If you're going to do 3/4 view, then do 3/4 view for everything. Don't just do 3/4 view because you want to do it and then draw everything straight on because you don't know how to do it. Find a reference if you don't know how to do it, right? So I would like erase this part of the hair just to make it a little fluffier. And then I would actually like reference the fox's ear like this, right? Like actually look at how it's drawn so that you're not just like making it up and not really sure what you're doing. Okay, that looks better. It's always better to actually connect it to the ear. And then her hair doesn't just like end at the top there. We usually will have sideburns, right? And then you can kind of like make her hair continue like down and then, right? First of all, when you have hair like that, that looks like claws kind of coming out of the side of her head. That does not look like hair. Yeah, that doesn't look like hair. So the way you would fix it is if you're drawing hair, you have to make the hair feel a lot more random. Let me just turn off the wings here. If you're drawing hair, let's get rid of this hand, this monster hand. Okay. When you're drawing hair, think of it as a shape. Don't think of it as individual strands. Okay, so if the hair shape is more like this, right, feels more natural, right? Let's say the hair shape is more like that. Then you can go in and then you can like add in individual strands like that. But like, don't draw hair like it's straw, right? Because then it's going to look really weird. So think about the hair as an overall shape. And then the arm. Okay. What are we going to do about the arm? They're not T-Rex arms this time. They're just noodle arms. They're arms with no structure in them. And let's figure out how to fix that. I'm also going to fix your mouth because it's now just like grinning at me awkwardly and I want to fix it. So let's go in and I'm just going to copy it. The mouth has to be more in the middle. Okay. And if you're drawing a 3/4 view mouth, the right side of the mouth has to be bigger than the left side of the mouth. Right now, the left side of the mouth is bigger than the right side of the mouth. So it just looks really silly. Looks very silly. Right? There. That's a little bit better. The nose. Okay. Eyebrows also, like eyebrows they don't follow the eyes. If you draw an eye like this, the eyebrow doesn't do that. Looks weird. The eyebrow will typically arc a little bit differently on the inside than on the outside, right? So the outside of the eye, like right here, that's about 2/3 of the way. It's the highest peak, and that actually really follows the eye socket. So with the eyebrows, right, you want to make them look a little bit more human. Just like move them a little bit so they don't look weird. And just gonna cover up your old one. Okay. The chin is also a little bit too sharp, so we'll fix that. And now let's move on to the arms. So Jessie actually has a stream that she did where she shows you how to draw tattoos on arms and legs and on bodies. So I would recommend checking that out. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Okay. So how do we fix her noodle arms? Let's fix her noodle arms here. We need to start by giving her arms a little bit of structure. So in order to do that, you need to think about the arms as those cylinders that I've mentioned before. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity and I will draw the arm for you. Okay. It's okay to have a gesture that goes like this. That's fine. But you still need to work out like what the actual cylinders are doing around that curve, right? You need to figure out what it's doing, because our bones are not bendy. Our bones are pretty straight. So those cylinders represent the mass on those, like, on those bones. So if you drew the neck in like this, and then you even have a little bit of that acromion process, that's fine. The paws are a little bit funny because the paws should be about the size of the face. At least the hands are about the size of the face, right? So I would make them a little bit bigger if you want to go more into like a human-like design. And then this arm here, I think these are holes for the breasts on your character, but the breast or the chest will overlap the arm like this, okay? And then this arm looks fine until it's like, wait a second, how does it just do that? Like, what is going on with the hand? Let's draw in those cylinders first. Which way are the hands bending? Right? Figure out the tops and bottoms of those cylinders first. If this arm is bending backwards, then the upper arm is going to go in this direction, and then the lower arm is going to go in the opposite direction, and that gives you the illusion of it bending backwards, right? And then for the hand, like, it looks like you're just adding claws to a human hand. But I would suggest like making this pose and taking a selfie so that you know exactly what to do with the fingers. The fingers like this, if I tried to recreate this pose, it would look so awkward. Just super, super awkward. So I feel like the hands would actually need to be more like a little bit more like it's holding something, right? But even then it's curving the opposite way, which is really awkward. So it's almost better to do it with this hand here, right? But fix your arms first, and once you figure out what your arms are doing, then you can draw the hand. And to draw the hand, you will need a reference for yourself. Okay, so for example, the thumb is going to be on this side, right? And then like the fingers would kind of go on this side. So it would be more like that. But even that is very awkward. The fire would be on this side. right? But the hands need to be much bigger. Yeah, starting to be a foxy princess. Where can you send my art? Submissions are closed this round, but if you want to join our Discord, then you can, you'll be the first to see when we have a new submission. We usually do this we do roasts maybe 4 times a year, but we do fix-it streams once a month. So all you need to do is join the Discord and grab the opportunities roll. Okay. There's so much to fix with this piece. Okay, so right now her tail looks like it's connected to the middle of her back. Let's follow this line. Looks like it's connected to her belly button. Okay. Tails are connected to the tailbone. We all have one. And if I had to figure out where it is, like if this is her hip, right? Let's say this is her hip. This is one leg hole. The other leg hole is over here. The tail should be connecting to the back. So it would be connecting this way. Okay, figure out where it's connecting first by drawing the pelvis, which you didn't do here, which is why it looks kind of funny. Like the legs, I have no idea what the legs are doing. If I turn this off and I turn up the opacity of yours, I can see there's like one leg, but it feels a little bit disconnected, right? It feels like this is not not connected well. So let's fix it. So look at the length of this leg here. Like it's really long, way too long. So you either need to bring her foot up a little bit, right? Because this cylinder should be the same length as the thigh cylinder, right? When you're drawing a pelvis like this, and then you're drawing the legs. Let's say the legs go all the way down to the bottom. Let's say like this, right? The middle, you can draw a line for the middle, but this section and this section should be approximately the same length, okay? Approximately the same length. And here it's way too long and you don't see it because you drew it behind a dress without actually mapping it out first. And then if you want to do a more like fox-like foot, guess what you need to do? You need to find a reference. You need to find a good reference picture, okay, of a fox. So I'm going to do that for you. But let's say I find this reference from Alamy. Like here. Okay. All right. So you see how the legs here, like the feet bend backwards? Okay. So I'm not sure how human-like or how, you know, fox-like you want the foot to be. But essentially, like, you've drawn the, you've drawn this part, right? And this part. And you see how the foot is just as long, right? So if you want it to look more like that, then you can kind of draw the heel that's up a little bit higher, right? Draw the heel up a little bit higher, then draw in the paw of the animal. And I don't look or draw foxes. Like, I don't look at foxes very often or draw them very often, which is why I'm like, okay, I'm going to look up a reference and see how I could draw it and how the anatomy works. Okay, so depending on if you want it to be more fox-like, you can consider moving the foot, or if you want it to be more human-like, the size of the foot, I'll draw the human version on top, right? If you want it to be more human-like, then the foot can be more like a wedge, kind of like that shape. Okay, I do like the style of the fox feet though, with the furry foot and the little claws. I think it's cute. Hey, welcome to the Discord. All right, cool. So, I think that's it. I drew all over your piece and made a mess, but hopefully it was helpful. And if you have any questions, I will put all of my demos for you guys on the Discord after the stream. So big shout out to Silver Moon. Thank you, Silver Moon, for submitting your art and for putting yourself out there. Okay, let's see who's next. Joelle Jonas. Are you here in the chat? Artist in chat. Let me know if you're here. Jonas, look, let's see, Joelle. What did you say about this piece? Nothing. When you guys don't give me any context, it's just gonna be a free-for-all, okay? If you like don't give me any context for this, then I'm just gonna judge it freely. Okay, so Joelle, first of all, nice rendering. It's a little bit it's a little wonky. And I'm just gonna, it's mostly in the anatomy, because it doesn't matter how well you render something. If your proportions and your anatomy are weird, then it's not gonna help that it's fully rendered. So first of all, you have so much contrast on the hair. Like, it looks like her hair is electric. Like, it looks like there's some kind of, her hair has like some kind of electrical power or electrical charge. Highlights on hair do not work like this at all. So when you make the highlight, like when you make the highlights have so much contrast on the hair, I don't even look at her face anymore. I'm just kind of looking at the hair, because you have black and white like right next to each other. That's what is going to attract my attention, right? Instead, you want the area of highest contrast to be the silhouette. So the contrast, right, should be like, it should prioritize in order of priority. Okay, it would be the silhouette. Let me see the entire figure here. If I squint, like her top is disappearing into the background. Like there's no, and then I just see these streaks of white, and so it's there's no priority in the way you've put your contrast on her. So silhouette would be first, and then like the face, right? Usually with characters, we tend to look at the face. And right now the face is just being overpowered by the hair. And there's like not much contrast on the mouth or under the chin. Like I can't really see any of that contrast. So what I would do immediately is I would lower the contrast on the hair. So let me just help you do that. Okay. We're gonna lower the contrast on the hair. So, I don't know if you have black hair yourself, but I do. And I will never, ever see a white highlight on my hair unless it's like wet or it has wax on it or something, right? Like it's almost never. So you definitely need to use a lighter value, but like maybe a lot less than what you're using right now. So here, let's just first of all get rid of this. I'm just going to get rid of all this contrast. It's not really clear where your light source is either right now. Like it's not clear to me at all. And because it looks like you have 5 light sources, because you have 5 of these or 6 of these shadows, right? So just like simplify stuff. Don't try to overcomplicate. So now I'm just going to make the hair a lot less contrasty. So now it looks more natural. And now I'm actually like looking at her face. Okay. The other thing is like, there's no contrast on the other areas of her face So like you have such low contrast underneath the chin. Like what's going on? Let's make it darker. Like, don't be afraid to make it darker, right? I'm just gonna follow your line here, and we'll like give her a shadow. There we go. That's better. Now she has a chin. Woohoo! And her chin's crooked, so let's fix that. Okay. All right. That's better. And then the nose, usually noses will have a little bit of shading underneath, especially because you have a more rendered style, right? Her mouth, you can give her a little bit more contrast under her mouth. There's usually some stuff under the lips. You don't have to draw the second line if you don't want to. I know some styles are like, oh, it's just the eyes and nothing else exists. That's fine too. Up to you, but just a little bit more contrast so that I know she has a nose and a mouth. You've given her this like white, it looks like she's wearing sunscreen or she has some yogurt on her face. This is not how you highlight noses, okay? So first of all, don't use white to highlight stuff. It looks super unnatural. Use your skin tone here, right? If your skin tone is right here, like make sure that the white has a little bit of a tint to it. And just get rid of it entirely, right? It just needs a little bit, right? Just like little subtle highlights like that. Also these lines on the side of the face, these lines on the side of the nose, get rid of them. They look weird. They don't connect to anything. They're not anatomically correct. Just remove them, right? I can't get the right color here. Just remove them entirely. It's going to look much better. If you do draw lines, the lines should follow the shadow and they should follow the eyebrows. Okay? So we'll bring the eyebrow a little closer. If you did draw lines, they would go right into the eyebrow like that. Okay, but I don't really think you need lines, especially because you have a very simplified style. Okay. All right, that's looking a little bit better. All right, now let's fix what is going on here? Like, what is going on here? Okay, so the other thing that we talked about is contrast and silhouette, which you don't have. You have this like really dark green background right now, and it's really not helping you. Let's select it. Select this green background here. Okay, and I'm just going to change the color. I'm just gonna change it to any color. I'm going to use the levels just to save time. And I'm just going to make the entire thing lighter. Okay. Just going to make it all much, much lighter. Okay. Now you can actually see her silhouette better, right? Like here, she's just kind of like disappearing, and here you can actually see more of her silhouette. So the background color is really important. It's a really important way of just like, we don't really think about it, but we should. Because you need to think about your priority when it comes to contrast. Okay. The other thing is like, now let's talk a little bit about anatomy, because we fixed the hair, we fixed the face. Now we need to fix her body. So first of all, you have a highlight right here, which doesn't make any sense. It's like, does she have one breast? Is that a pattern on her shirt? It's not clear, right? It's really not clear. And then her arm looks like it can be ripped off. It's like so pointy under her armpit. It just looks like her arm's gonna fall off. And then her shoulder is really pointy as well. So I don't know if like she's just an alien or if she's actually wearing an outfit that has pointy shoulders. It's really not clear. So when you're drawing a pose like this, right? Let's say you start out with the face, right? So you start out with the face, then you draw the neck, and then let's say, you know, you have this really nice gesture. Actually, it's like a really nice pose, right? You've got your shoulders kind of doing this, you got the hips going this way. That's a lovely start, but the anatomy is very wonky, so let's fix that. So her rib cage is actually going in this direction, right, which is good, but her hips are very strange looking. So if you want a twist in her hips, which is fine, let's just like draw her hips with a twist. Right now you've kind of made her torso go like this, and you've also made her hips go like this. So how do I explain this? If you have a cylinder that's doing this, and then the hips are also doing this, right? That means I'm looking up at her, and that means I will see the bottom of this box, right? That means that the legs would be connected like down here. Okay. Usually speaking, the rib cage and the pelvis, right? The rib cage and the pelvis open up and they do this. So if you want a twisted pose, right, the pelvis actually tilts down from the front. Okay. So if you don't want to show the underside of the pelvis or the crotch, then you need to change the orientation of your pelvis, because right now the POV is going down, right? Whereas in mine it's going up. So I hope you can see the difference there. This leg has most of the weight, which is fine, right? This leg has most of the weight. Okay, but like this business here and here is just weird. So you probably didn't draw the pelvis properly, or you were just kind of avoiding to draw the pelvis. And like the belly button, it's so slight here that it's almost like you didn't draw it at all. So take the shadow color, right? And like actually draw the belly button. The belly button is in between the hips and the rib cage, like exactly in between. So it'd actually be a lot higher. Okay. So don't be afraid to draw that belly button, which would be in there. Okay. So what you can do is you would really need to fix the crotch of her pants. And then you can like draw the seams like that if you want. So like this, let's fix the pants. Right, there you go. That's a little bit better. And then like, I don't know what's going on with the jeans. Like maybe they're very bleached or something. But again, too much contrast on the jeans and even on the ripped parts of the jeans. Like it just looks like she's kind of got dirty legs underneath these rips. So leave the skin tone as is, and then the rips on jeans are actually white. Like they're more like, it's more like this color, right? It's more like that instead of blue. Okay, so find some ripped jeans, find the distressed look that you want, get a proper reference for it before you just start to highlight like crazy. we tend to get really invested in the highlights. We're like, oh, the highlights are so fun, and you know, I want to go crazy with the highlights, but it's actually not a good idea. Highlights should be last, like it should be those finishing touches. In terms of the top, let's make her arms look a little bit more natural. Okay, so they're not, I'm assuming that it's not pointy. So let's make it feel a little bit more natural there. That's better. And then I'm going to get rid of this weird glow because the lighting is just very strange. Let's get rid of it. I'm glad you didn't put super white highlights on the arms. But if you did want to do some highlights, you can take let's take this highlight color. Don't make it so blurry, right? Like if you're going to highlight, then highlight, but like don't make it super blurry. Right? This would kind of be how it would look, right? So it would have a little bit more form. You just want to get a little bit of that definition here. So if you're like really insisting on rendering with like a very smooth brush, I'm not a personal fan of smooth brushes because it just feels very timid. Like it feels like you're not using a hard brush because you're afraid, right? But I'm going to assume that you just like the airbrush, right? So if you wanted to airbrush, you can just like create a little bit of contrast, but not too much. I feel like that's even too much. Right? What I'm really doing is just creating some separation between the shoulder and the edge of her shirt there, right? So if you did want to create more highlights, it would kind of be like this, right? Across her chest, like that. That would look a little bit more natural. And then these black blobs, I would get rid of, just like simplify it. Right? There you go. Okay. Oof. Do you find my lighting after? You know what? If you know how to draw forms, then yeah, you can light things a lot better. If you can find a reference that has lighting, that's even better, right? But like, for example, if I'm drawing, let's see, where did I'm gonna go back and get my hard brush. So if I was drawing this out and sort of planning it out, right, I would kind of draw in the gesture, right? This arm is behind and kind of doing this, right? And kind of pointing down like this. Right, figuring out those forms is really going to help you even with clothing when you start to draw it, like sketch it out, right? You'll be able to like figure out how the clothing wraps around stuff, right? So I think you actually did a pretty good job with your arms, like keeping it more or less consistent. There are some things that you could probably change, like the arm, the forearm width is a little bit different on both of them, but like overall the arms look good. It was just that the shoulder looked very wonky. This one is behind, so then you would just like figure out what the cylinders are doing. 90% of people don't draw the tops and bottoms of the cylinders. They just kind of do this. They're like, okay, here's an arm, here's a leg, right? They don't actually, and you know what? They don't even draw the top of the leg. They just do this. And then they like connect it. And it's like, no, if you don't know what the cylinders are doing, then you won't know how to make up lighting. You won't know how to make up clothing, right? You have to be able to draw those things out and figure them out in your head if you want to be able to draw out of your head. Are there more items on the contrast priority list other than the silhouette and the face? Yeah, like really it's what, you know, what do you want to draw attention to, right? It's your own hierarchy. Typically speaking, as humans, we recognize somebody by looking at their silhouette. Have you ever seen somebody's silhouette, like say they're backlit and you see someone and they remind you of someone? You're like, I know that person looks so familiar. And then they come into the light and it's like not who you thought of at all. It's just that their silhouette looks just like them, their mannerisms, their pose, right? The way they stand. So that's why I would put silhouette first, is because especially if you're drawing full body, right? Silhouette is how you recognize people. Silhouettes are the most impactful. So it's like big picture, right? The face is like, we as humans, we will look at faces first. We're just drawn to them naturally. It's like a biological thing, right? We just like, we see a face and we want to look a little bit closer. We're naturally drawn to the eyes on people. So that's why I would put the face in. Not to say that, like, let's say you're drawing a person and they don't have a face or they're like behind a mask or something, right? That's different and it's situational. But most of the time the face would come second. And then the third is really up to you. Where do you want somebody to look, right? Where do you want them to look after they've processed the silhouette and they've processed the face? Is it the hair blowing in the wind? Is it the point, right? Like what's she pointing to? That's really up to you. It's more about hierarchy than anything else. Okay, Joelle. Not sure if you are here, but if you are watching this, thank you for submitting your artwork. And thanks for putting yourself out there to be roasted. Okay, I'm just going to remove everything. Here's where we started off with. Okay, who is next? Lunar Spice. Lunar Spice, are you here? Is the artist in the chat? Woo! Okay, Lunar Spice. I really like this character. I love how you're drawing different character body shapes and body types, and I think it's wonderful. I like the pose, but like, why does she look so tall? She looks like she's like 7 feet tall here. You said the head feels off with the neck, and I feel the lips don't have enough of a warming smile. The left leg also feels wonky compared to the right. How can I make my character feel happy to be drawn? Great question. Lunar Spice, if you are here, let me know how old your character is supposed to be and how tall they're supposed to be. Like, if they're an average human, they would look very different. Actually, let me just make this smaller so that it's easier to work with. Okay. Lunar Spice, I'm going to show you something first. I'm going to show you what somebody who is 7 feet tall, what they actually look like. Okay? So, not this girl. This is I think she's a Brazilian model, I think. Anyway, there's tons and tons of pictures of her and her partner on Instagram. And she's huge. Like, she's 6'9", okay? Not quite 7 feet. She's 3 inches from being 7 feet tall. But she's huge. Massive girl, right? And if your character had her body type, I mean, if your character had her height, right, it would probably make sense. If she's supposed to be like a giant, right, it's probably fine. But the reason why your character looks so weird is because her head is tiny. Let's actually measure out. Let's measure out here how many heads we should be putting. Like, let's measure. Let's do some measuring, because you know me, I love measuring. Not. It's just because I have to. Okay, there's her head size. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. She is truly 8.5 heads high. Okay. Now, the average female is never going to be 8.5. The average female is like, I would say 7, like about 7 heads. Okay. If I went to like the Netherlands, right, and looked at some Dutch women, they're very tall. They're probably about 7 to 7.5 heads high, right? 6'4", 7.5 heads. 6'1", maybe like 7.25, right? This lady's 6'9", okay? So she's 8.5 heads high. Now let's look at your character now. That's the size of her head. One. Now we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's also 8.5 heads. Okay, so that's the problem. Her head is way too small. And most people actually have the opposite problem. Most people make heads too big. And in this case, you made her head way too small, so she looks like a giant. So, and a giant vertically. So what we're going to do is we are going to make her head bigger. Okay, so let's make her head bigger. Okay, so at this size, she looks a lot more normal. I would say she's maybe like 5'6". So I'm 5'6" in height, right? So I feel like this, I could be looking at her from eye level. So you can see how large I made her head, right? Much, much bigger. And I think it's a pretty easy fix, right? Like, I actually think that her legs look pretty solid. I think you gave her really nice curves. But yeah, she is now normal looking and not a giant woman. Ellie Sane, thank you for putting yourself out there on Instagram so that we could measure your your body, right? Like, also, when you're drawing somebody truly giant or truly huge, right, you can kind of see like where her belly button is, like, right? Look at where her belly button is. It's very, very high. And that's because we're looking up at her, right? The photographer is probably, I'm guessing this guy is probably like, I don't know, like 5'9", maybe. But it's truly remarkable to really see how big of a difference you could make by just adjusting the head size. In terms of making her smile more and making her legs actually feel more natural, typically when somebody's standing straight, like, I would give them a little bit more space in between their legs, like in between their feet, right? So if her foot was more like this, right? Like, she would feel a little bit more balanced, because typically you want the head to be in between the 2 feet, right? And right now she looks a little bit like she's off balance because she's leaning backwards, but there's nothing really to support her weight. So I would just like move her leg back a little bit more like this, right? So that she is more balanced. The other thing is, like, she's got like a weird arm up here. Like, typically speaking, like this, right? The arm would be a little bit more like there. Yes, there's a smaller curve on this side, but this just looks like it's swollen, right? So it's not exactly straight on one side. It's slightly curvy. Let's see what else. I like how you drew her belly and her belly button. That looks pretty good. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about the mouth. How do you make her feel like she's a little bit happier? So that was a really good question. Let's take her face and we'll just... I'm just going to make another clone. And let's fix her face so that she happier. So you can do this very simply by adjusting the eyes and adjusting the mouth. So we smile with our eyes, right? We can all see what is the difference between your you know, like a fake smile versus a real smile, right? Like a real smile, we smile with our eyes. So you know, so if you wanted to give her that smile, you can just kind of like make the eyes a little less a little bit less surprised, a little bit more coverage, right? And like maybe even like an eye like this, right? That's more of a smiling eye. And then the corners of her mouth, you can turn them up a little bit. So we'll bring the corners of her mouth up. And then can redraw the bottom lip like this. And usually when we smile, our mouths are not serious like this, right? The top part of the mouth becomes more round. It becomes stretched out when you smile, right? So instead of giving her like a really defined pointy mouth at the top, what you can do is you can actually make it a little more stretched out. And then like that, and then you can kind of like give her a little bit of a smile. I'm not going to make her really smiley because I think you wanted your character to be a bit more subtle. So you can make her smile as much or as little as you want. But I'm just going to erase the top lip here. Usually I'll put the top lip in shadow. That's why I made it slightly darker. But yeah, that's how you can make her feel a little bit happier. Okay. So Iosaurus. Oh, I saw your submission. Am I going to adjust the hand size because I made the head size bigger? Yes, yes. But let's check the hand size first. Because I would say that the hand is roughly the size of the face, right? The hand is roughly the size of the face, and right now let's do some measuring. Let's see here. The hand is that big, and the face, I think the hand is actually okay. The face does not include the forehead. It goes to about your eye, like just right above your eyebrows. You could make the hand a little bit bigger, but the hand looks weird in its own way because the index finger looks bigger than the thumb, and it's like longer than the rest of the fingers, and that doesn't work out. The middle finger should be longer, right? And then the other fingers should be adjusted accordingly. So it would be more like that. But yeah, good suggestion. You always have to get that head size right so that you know how to fix everything else in your drawing, right? It all kind of starts, all the measurements really just start with the head. And then, you know, that's where you go from there. The feet are also a little bit small. The feet should be roughly the size of the forearm. So the foot should be this size, right? It just feels a little bit small. So I'd make her feet a little wider, and then this one I would make a little bit wider in the front because it just feels a little bit too tiny to support her. Okay. The arm is also a little bit short. Like, I think her arm would be like a little bit lower, like this. That might look a little bit better. But I mean, overall, your character has a lot of good structure, right? So well done. And hopefully you can use this giant woman as a reference. Okay, thank you, Lunar Spice, for your submission and your sharing your piece with us. All right, so we've got 10 minutes, and I had lined up a couple more. I'm gonna just do a really quick critique half piece because you're here. If you're still here, nice work on this figure. I think everything is pretty well done except for this one thing. Oh, your drawing's cut off. Okay. So her feet, like, first of all, the fabric and everything looks really good. The cross hatching looks great. I love her face. Her face looks great, but like, okay, what's up with her hands? What happened? What happened to her hand? It looks like it's very swollen. It looks like what happened to the thumb and and like this hand is bigger, is like the same size as her foot. Okay? Half piece. Take your hand and put it up against your foot. How much bigger is your foot than your hand? It's okay. I'm just gonna give you a quick fix here. Whoops. Okay. Feet has to be bigger. Make the foot the same size as the forearm. That's the best way to do it, right? Make the feet bigger. I'm not sure if this was my fault when I cut off the foot, or if it was actually you and you didn't give me the full picture. I don't know. But I'm going to roughly draw in this foot. This foot is okay because it's foreshortened. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, I understand that it's not, it's not directly a side view. So it's a little bit more forgivable. But if your foot is the side view, it cannot be as big as your hand. Like, this hand is way too big. So let's make this hand smaller. There we go. Let's make it the size of her face. Even smaller. Like, let's see. Right? We got to make it the size of her face. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna like challenge you to recreate this pose with your hand and see how you can give it a little bit more visual interest with the fingers. Because like right now, this hand and this hand are also different. They're very different in size. Typically what I like to do, right, is like if you are drawing the hand, right, and here you've kind of drawn the box, which is great. It's going in the opposite direction. Okay, so here you have the box of your hand, and then you have your thumb. And then you have your fingers. So it's fine that your fingers are bending backwards like this. But like you have this line kind of like this. And then you have the other fingers drawn the same way. And that's really confusing because when you draw fingers, right, even if they're doing this, right, you can kind of draw them as a bendy cylinder like this, right? But the finger has padding on the front, so the front is going to be more padded and then the back is going to be more bony, right? So bony, straight, right? This has angles, whereas this side should be curved. It has padding, right? And right now, like the joints are not correct. Like you know, you would want to see that there's like 3 segments of the finger. Right now I don't know what's going on. Like it doesn't really make sense. And then also like you want to make this finger smaller and then the other finger larger. The pinky shouldn't be that, the pinky should not be that high. So if you want to think about it as a silhouette, right, again, I'm back to silhouettes. It should be more like this. And the thumb is really confusing, so I don't know if she actually has a thumb or if her thumb is like bent back, which is a very weird pose. It makes more sense for her thumb to actually be like, you know, to actually be there. So yeah. Otherwise, this is really nice. The other thing you don't want to do is like right now you have her arm kind of like this. It kind of, you know, like this. The arm would look much better if it was just straight at the bottom. Let's just make it straighter at the bottom like that. Right? Like don't try to do like the Michelin Man type of muscle structure like this. Instead, arms should have more chain-like. Arms typically look a lot more chain-like than bubble-like, right? So making it straight, I think, just is an easy way to solve the problem. Okay, well, half piece. Should it look smaller? It's in the back. Yeah, but like, it's still, if you consider the distance between these 2 hands, this hand is right up against her chest. This hand is right behind her chest. Like a chest, like there's not enough difference. It's not like this hand is extended all the way back and the top hand is like coming towards you, right? There's not enough distance to really make it that much smaller. It ends up being more confusing. Yeah, her thumb's bent back. That's fine. It's fine. I think it looks better with a thumb, but do what you want. Okay. And last but not least, there were 2 that I wanted to do, and I wanted to give some honorable mentions here. Thank you, Half Piece, for submitting your artwork and allowing other people to learn from it. So we appreciate you. How do you submit your art? You can join our Discord. Join our Discord and you'll be the first to know. And we usually put out the call on Discord first. You can also join our email newsletter or visit our website, wingcanvas.com, and you should be able to find most of the calls for submissions on the Discord. If you're already on the Discord and you missed this, grab the opportunities roll, because that's what we tag when we send out the submission forms. Tricks. Let's see here. So tricks, I'm not gonna actually have time to show you this, but I just wanted to tell you that I chose this piece because I like your characters. I like that you're working traditionally. But you said something where I was like, what? You said this is a little interaction between my secondary creatures or my secondary characters. And this is not an interaction, guys, okay? This is not... Have you ever tried to interact with somebody standing next to them and looking straight? Like, imagine having a conversation with somebody where you're, like, standing right next to them, you're not looking at each other. That's not interacting, right? That's standing at a bus stop right next to somebody and trying not to make eye contact and trying not to interact. You can stand next to somebody or take public transit or be next to somebody and not interact with them. And that's what it looks like it's doing here. So if you truly want people to interact, you need to start in the planning phase, right? Like you actually need to start by like, okay, here's the character. He's looking down at this character. And then there's this character, and this character is kind of like looking up, right? And then you kind of like draw out their bodies. How are they standing, right? Where are they looking? Like their eyes would be looking, right? Their eyes would be looking down so that they're interacting. This is interacting. There's no interaction here. There is zero interaction. They're standing in a bus, like, right? They're talking to each other, but standing still. So I get that you're trying to just draw out the characters for now, and they're very interesting. But if you want to study interaction, what I would do is I would start by finding, let me show you. I would start by finding a pose. So I would say like mom looking at child, or it could be like dad looking at child. Okay, here we go. Images. Okay, find an actual image of people interacting. So I might have to say standing. Mom looking at child standing. Okay, so like this is more interaction. Like she's looking at her, the child's looking straight at the camera, and she's like proud of her kid, right? Right. This is interacting. Here, let's use this one, right? This, right? They're looking at each other, they're smiling, they have body language. This is interacting. So if you are trying to draw a more interactive pose, you have to find a reference picture that has a similar type of feeling, right? Similar type of interaction. So it's actually, I'm going to challenge you, Trix, because I see your work on the server and I know you submit stuff all the time. I'm going to challenge you to actually draw an interaction, okay? Because this is not one. There are a couple of runner-ups. So, Drimlin, I wanted to do like a full render for you to actually show you. Like I even collected anatomy images for you, which I can send you. Just start a ticket on the Discord and I'll send you these photos that I collected for you. And it took me a long time to find these. But you need to study, if you want to be able to shade anatomy, you have to know your muscles and you have to do some more studies. Learn your muscles and learn those forms before you attempt shading. Otherwise, it's going to look like he's got fangs on the bottom of his shoulder blades, which is what it looks like right now. The lighting is really weird because like I'm not sure. There's like a light source in front and a light source behind his jaw, and then like this weird tarantula looking face on his back with these fangs. So it makes no sense. Overall, your proportions are good. It just, I really wanted to do a render for you, but maybe another time. Okay. Spiral, really like this character, but I'm going to challenge you to actually draw the entire body underneath, because once you draw the entire body underneath using those cylinders, you're gonna figure out what's wrong with it yourself. I think the overall gesture and the overall character and the overall feeling is very nice, but the pose looks really awkward and you're not going to figure out how to do it unless you draw the pose underneath. So I'm going to challenge you to do that, and you can tag me on the Discord and I'll give you feedback on it. Okay. You've seen me draw it already like 10 times on this stream, so I think you can do it yourself. Lastly, Iosaurus. I saw you here in the chat. Thanks for being here live. I think this is a super ambitious piece. Yeah. I put it last because like I can't really be too mean about it. I don't have anything to pick apart. So it's not quite as entertaining, but the legs are too short. Make the legs longer. Otherwise they look like three dwarf characters. This guy looks kind of normal, but this guy, like the legs are way too short. I mean, if I was looking down at them, like if your POV or your line of vision is like, way down here and I'm looking down at him, then the short legs make sense, right? Like, have you ever told somebody to take a picture of you? They take a picture and you're like, why do my legs look so short? It's probably because that person taking the picture was really, really tall, right? So for example, let's say, uh, let's say this is me, right? I'm standing here and I'm like, take a picture. Take a picture of me. Look at me. Take a picture of me. And then the person taking a picture of me is like much taller. Like, let's say they're like much taller, right? And they're taking, they're taking the picture, and let's say they're taking the picture up here, right? And then the camera is like this. Well, then my legs are going to look super, super short. So then in the picture, right? In the picture, my head's going to be like this and my body's going to be like this, right? Because I'm looking down at them. So if you want to look like you are magnificent and heroic and you have really long legs, here's me. Again, I'm like, standing for this picture, la la la. And then I tell my Instagram husband or whoever is taking this picture to squat, right? So now he's like this. Have you ever seen those like tourists? They take pictures and there's always someone like squatting and then taking a picture. Now if they're taking a picture and they're looking up at me like this, right? They have to be standing a little further back. But let's say now they're taking a picture of me, right? Now I'm going to look like this, essentially. Right? I'm going to look like I have super long legs and supermodel proportions, right? Versus this one, I'm going to look like I have really short legs and I'm going to look dwarfish. So some of it is really just about your camera angle, right? And right now I can see these lines in the background. You're telling me that the horizon line is here. So if the horizon line is here, then that means like, I'm looking at these people pretty much around eye level, or my eye level is about there, which shouldn't make the legs so short. Okay, so you got to make your legs longer, like much longer. Right, like longer. Maybe this person's not really that tall. Maybe they are a little bit shorter, but you can see what I mean, right? You can also use the head size to measure them. So like right now, if I use the head size, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 heads high, which means they're probably an adolescent, or maybe they're like 12 years old, right? And you see how I just kind of like extended it by 1 head size. Now they're an adult. Now finally we're in the 7 heads high range. Okay. Yeah. Height does matter when you're taking a photo, right? You gotta art direct somebody to give you the heroic look instead of the dwarfish look. All right. He's 5'3". The tallest one is 5'9". The short girl is 4'11". Okay. Even people who are short, yeah, you could have more childlike proportions, but I think she's like 5 heads. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5.5. It's fine. Variety is fine. I'm just giving you some context for what you can do. Like, you don't have to extend the legs this long, but the legs do look kind of short. The other thing you could do is you could just make the heads smaller, right? You can always make the head smaller, and bam, you have the right proportions. Okay, guys. Hope that was helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Iosaurus. Thank you, Spiral and Drimlun and Trix and Half Piece 88, Lunar Spice, Joelle, Silver Moon, Loot Gremlin, Vio, and Mr. Green Trex. We appreciate you. Thank you for putting yourself out there to be roasted. Hope you learned a thing or two. Hope I don't lose my voice and that it's bad karma. But I will see you guys for the next one. Don't forget to join our Discord so that you can know when to submit your artwork for the next one. And yeah, if you want to, if you do find that critiques like this are really helpful, You can join a class for free on a platform called School. So it's just school.com/wing canvas. You can go to our website and you can sign up for the free trial, and you'll be able to see unlimited class recordings, as well as we have live critiques every week for our students, and you can submit your artwork and get live critique like this right on the Discord in our members community. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. It was a lot of fun, and thank you to everybody who submitted. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.